Hello and greetings from Oglethorpe University. My name is Chris Summers and I am Oglethorpe's Director of Financial Aid. And I was hoping to use this time in this session to talk a little bit about your loan options for the coming fall and spring semesters. Talk a little bit about each loan option, a little information about each loan option, and get some helpful guidance on where you can start the process of seeking those loans. So if you are in a position where you're going to be looking at student loans for the fall semester, the best place to start is actually going to be on your award letter. So I'm going to share my screen and I am going to show you, you should have credentials to log into Oasis. You'll want to log into Oasis, select the student menu and select the financial aid home link. And when you do that, it's going to bring up a different version of Oasis. It's going to bring up a checklist for your financial aid. This is a good screen to get used to and get familiar with as you're making your way towards your degree here at Oglethorpe. But specifically here, I'm going to select the My Awards screen. The My Awards screen should mirror your award letter. It is your award letter for the 2020-2021 year. As you scroll down, you should see your scholarships and grants for the year, how much you've been awarded for the year, how much is going towards the fall semester, the spring semester. It's an interactive screen, so you can expand on any of your awards, get a little bit more information about any of your awards. So it's a good screen to become familiar with. But specifically right now, we're going to look at the loan options that may already exist on your award letter. So those loan options are probably going to start with Stafford Loans. So if you have filed a FAFSA for the 2020-2021 year, and the FAFSA has confirmed that you're eligible for federal aid, you should have Stafford Loans as a part of your award letter here. Now, what is a Stafford loan? A Stafford loan is essentially a loan from the Department of Education to the student that comes in a fixed amount at a fixed interest rate. And it generally comes in two different varieties, which is a subsidized Stafford loan and an unsubsidized Stafford loan. Now, the difference between those two is in the way that interest builds, is in the way that interest collects against the principal on the loan. With a subsidized version of the Stafford loan, there's not going to be any interest that builds on the principal of the loan while the student is in school. With the unsubsidized version, the interest on the unsubsidized funds borrowed is going to start to accumulate as soon as the funds are dispersed to the school. So if this student decided to seek the unsubsidized Stafford loan of $1,000 for the fall, interest would start to build on that $1,000 as soon as the funds come to the school at the beginning of the fall semester. But both Stafford varieties come with the same fixed interest rate, which is currently at 4.53%. Both Stafford loan varieties come with the same repayment terms, which is asking a student to start repaying loans on a regular basis, on a month-to-month basis, 6 months after the student is no longer considered a half-time student. For most students, that's graduation, although for those of you who are going to go on to grad school, while you're enrolled in grad school, you should still be in what's called deferment on your Stafford loans. So how do you access the Stafford loans? How do you use them? Again, it started with the FAFSA. The FAFSA confirmed you were eligible for federal aid. These should be on your award letter. And what you can do is you can come to the My Awards section here in Oasis. You can expand on the loans. It should tell you what has been awarded for fall, what has been awarded for spring. You have the option to reduce these amounts if you'd like. If you only want $1,500 for the fall, or if you only want $1,000 for the fall, you can come in and make changes here. Unfortunately, you can't make requests for increases on the Stafford loans because the Stafford loans are regulated by the Department of Education, and what you've got on your award letter is the maximum that you can receive both for the semester and for the year. But you can come in here and reduce them if you'd like. If you want to accept what's been offered to you, you can do that. Clicking this accept button will accept the full amount of what's been awarded to you, and will show up on your statement for the fall and eventually the spring semester. You can also come in here to decline your Stafford loans. But again, if you are Seeking student loans for the fall and spring, the Stafford loans are probably going to be the first place that you'll want to look. And again, they should be sitting here on your award letter in OASIS. Now, one thing that you cannot do, as I mentioned, with the Stafford loans is the Stafford loans are not flexible to the point where you can make an increase of whatever you need for the school year. So for this student, this student between the subsidized and unsubsidized has been awarded $5,500 for the year. That's the most this student can receive. First year dependent students can receive up to $5,500 in Stafford loans per year. But if this student needs more than $5,500, if this student needs to seek $10,000 for the year or $12,000 for the year, or more than what has been offered here with the Stafford loans, the student is going to need to seek most likely a credit-based education loan. And with credit-based education loans, one of the other underlying questions to those loans is going to be who's borrowing the funds. Is it going to be the student who's borrowing the funds, or is it going to be the parent who's borrowing the funds? I am going to start as if the parent is seeking the funds. The Department of Education has a loan called a Direct Parent Plus loan. And a Direct Parent Plus loan is a loan that a parent can apply for. The parent's credit is checked. If the parent is approved for the plus loan, the parent can then borrow the plus loan in whatever amount is needed for tuition, fees, room, board, books, supplies, personal and travel expenses. And then it becomes the parent's obligation to pay that loan back upon graduation. Now, the parent loan is a separate application process, so I'm going to take you through a little bit of what that looks like. Parents who are interested in seeking a direct parent plus loan can go to studentaid.gov, or studentloans.gov also brings you to this same page. And the important first step here is going to be the login. I know that sounds obvious, but one of the common bits of confusion we see with plus loans is whoever logs in at this stage in the process, whoever logs in here ends up being the borrower on the plus loan. So whichever parent wishes to borrow a plus loan should also be the parent who logs in right here at the front of studentaid.gov. If the student logs in, it looks like the student wants to borrow the funds, which unfortunately can't happen with a direct plus loan. The direct parent plus loan, again, parent who wants to borrow it wants to log in here at the first step. So parents, I'm going to just kind of put in a sample ID here, but if a parent wants to log in here and seek a direct parent plus loan, you will be using the same login information you use to electronically sign your student's FAFSA. So that FSA ID that you used and that password that you used, you will use that same information to log in here at studentaid.gov. Once a parent has logged into studentaid.gov, they will just confirm they are in fact the parent. And the fourth option here on the list, you can certainly explore these other options, but the fourth option on the list here is applying for a Parent Plus loan, which a parent can select and open the application from here. It's a relatively straightforward application. It's going to ask for demographic information from the parent, demographic information from the student, which school the student is attending in the coming year, and a few other, like I said, it's a pretty straightforward application, but certainly if a parent who is seeking this loan needs help, those of us here at Oglethorpe in the financial aid office will be certainly willing to provide that help. We'll be happy to walk you through it. Now, earlier I mentioned that this is an option for a parent to seek. It's a credit-based loan, education loan for a parent to seek. There are certainly credit-based education loans for students to seek. Probably the extra step involved there is going to be a cosigner. Most undergraduate dependent college students just haven't had the opportunity to build a credit history yet. And as a result, most undergraduate dependent students seeking a credit-based loan are not approved on their own. But an adult or anybody who's got a credit-worthy history can step in with a student and co-sign with a student on most likely what's going to be a private education loan. So with a private education loan, a student applies for a private education loan, a student, their credit is checked for the loan. If the student is not approved on their own credit history, like I said, a cosigner can step in and apply with the student. The difference here is everything I've talked about thus far has been a loan from the Department of Education. With a private education loan, essentially there is a market for a student to explore when it comes to student loan lenders. Now, there are a lot of lenders that students can seek a private education loan from. And what we usually like to suggest is to start with existing relationships. So students, if you have a place where you bank, if that bank offers private education loans, that might be a good place to start. Same thing with parents. Same thing with existing student loans in the family. Same thing with credit unions. If you have an existing relationship with a lending institution and that lending institution offers private education loans, that might be a good place to start. Again, there is no shortage of lenders, but in the interest of showing you what the process may look like, I'm going to pull up Sallie Mae. Sallie Mae is a lender that several of our students seek out when they're seeking a private education loan. A student who wants to apply with Sallie Mae will come to Sallie Mae's website and will fill out Sallie Mae's application. And if the student is approved for a private education loan, then that loan application is sent electronically to Oglethorpe, and we use that to kind of help the student through the rest of the process and get that loan certified and on the award letter. The same can be said of the PLUS loan. When a parent fills out a PLUS loan, the application comes to Oglethorpe electronically. Whether it's a PLUS loan or a private loan, we'll take in that application and help you all through the rest of the process. Earlier, I mentioned that the PLUS loan can be used for other expenses beyond tuition, room, and board. The same can be said of a private education loan. So students, if you want to use a private education loan, you can use it to help with tuition fees, room, board, but also book supplies, personal expenses, and travel expenses. So this is a vehicle for students to seek a credit-based loan to help with those expenses. Now, there is one more option that I'm going to briefly mention, because it's not going to be an option that's available for everybody who's watching this. There's an option for residents of the state of Georgia who have unmet financial need, which likely means that you have a subsidized Stafford loan. So that's one quick way to see that you've got unmet financial aid. If you've got a subsidized Stafford loan, you've got unmet financial need. But Georgia residents who are eligible for federal aid and have unmet financial need can apply for what is called the Student Access Loan through the state of Georgia. The Student Access Loan can be found at gafutures.org. Georgia residents, I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with this website. However, the Student Access Loan application is not live as of the date of this recording. The application for this loan will likely go live in early July, and when it does, we will be reaching out to all eligible students to inform them that the application is live and out there for your consideration. So you'll have more information coming on that. So hopefully this has been a little informative on what some of your immediate loan options are going to be, where you go to start to investigate them, where you go to apply. But certainly if this brings up additional questions, or if you just need help getting through the process, please reach out to the Office of Financial Aid here at Oglethorpe. We'll be happy to help you through your options and help you get things squared away so that you can come in the fall and get off to a good start. So again, hopefully this has been informative, and I look forward to helping you through the process and seeing you here on campus in the fall.